Hi guys and gals, Mr. Bausch here. I apologize for some background noise. I got some birds and squeaky toys, so you might hear those during this video. What I'm going to briefly discuss is the major assignments, major activity for you for Gatsby. And it's going to be something that you might find interesting, hopefully. It's better than taking a test or writing an essay. What you're going to do is you're going to create a text conversation between you and Jay Gatsby. When you do this, you're going to find the link to this comes from the agenda right down here. It says Text in Gatsby. You'll click on that. It'll take you right here. And you'll see the video guide soon at the top. This is going to be a fake conversation where you're going to discuss something with him. You know what Gatsby does throughout this entire book. What I want you to do is pick one moment in the book that you can interrupt and send him a text message and have a conversation with him. Maybe he's going to do something, or he's thinking something, or he's reacting to something. What recommendations do you have for Jay, and what kind of advice can you give him? What you're going to do then is you're going to go into the future a little bit and add a timestamp. The timestamp could be anywhere between an hour, it could be a day, it could be a week. You decide. But pick up the conversation with him. Maybe he chose to do something, or he did something differently. What do you have to say to him then? So this is a two-part conversation. I'd recommend considering 20 messages and the 20 messages. A message is, here's one message, he says something. The second message, you say something. Then he says something, you say something, he says something, so on. About 20 messages in length for the first part where you give him the original advice, or you talk to him about something, and then 20 messages later on at some point, but you set the date with the timestamp. You do need to be referencing the plots and characters that are involved, so if he's thinking about Daisy or Tom Buchanan or something along those lines, then I need to see that in the actual conversation. Treat it like a normal conversation. You're mentioning something, you're talking with Gatsby, and he's listening to you. Maybe he decides to go with what you want, maybe not. So step one is to go ahead and pick that moment. Where do you think he needs that advice? Where do you want to give him some advice? Then create the text messages. So how do you do that? Click on this link right here. It'll open up a iMessage fake chat. This is obviously probably not the latest Apple, but it'll work. So step number two is to change his name, or change the name to Gatsby. So instead of Johnny Doe, you have Jay Gatsby. For the rest of this information, you can change it to what you want. So if you don't want to go from Vodafone, or you can have it come from Verizon. You can rename the rest of this as you see fit. It's up to you. You can also click on battery options and change the battery percentage. You can remove the percentage or add it. It's up to you. The connection as well, you can fake all that as much as you want to. And the part that you actually have to start working now on is going to be the messages. So it has a little sample down here of what you can do. So when you're ready to do this, you'll have him most likely with a gray bubble. He's going to be maybe sending you a message, or you can be the one that starts with him. So if you want to start the message, you can say, "Hey Jay," and it creates the message. If you don't like the timestamp right there, if you don't want to start it with Thursday, September 19th, you can go ahead and just hover over and click the delete message. So I can go ahead and do a timestamp. I could say Friday, April 23rd at 2:13 p.m. And then add that to the conversation. It puts it down there. Then I can go ahead and have me say something where I say, "Hey Jay," add the conversation. He could follow up, "Well, hi Mr. Bash. What brings you around? I'm a little bit busy, sport." And then that's him saying it. And then you can just go back and forth, and have the conversation. When you're ready to transition into a different period, so you've done maybe 20 messages, click on Insert Timestamp, make a new one. So let's say a week passed. So it would be Friday, April 30th at maybe 10:23 a.m. And then add the conversation, and then you have a different time. If you're just changing the time, then it could just be 10:23. You don't have to say Friday, April 23rd. So, you know, if you have an Apple, you kind of are aware how this happens. It doesn't have to be super realistic, but the fact here is that you can go ahead and create this. You can also, if you want, add pictures that might be useful in your conversation. I don't know, you could throw a meme at Gatsby if you really feel the need to. So you could find a picture. I could just click on that one, for instance, and then I just kind of insert into there. It's supposed to look like it's a real one. It doesn't say received. It doesn't have check marks. This is just Apple, the old Apple. But once you're done with this, so once you make your two-part conversation with Jay Gatsby, the next step that you're going to have there is to click on Download Image. So I'm going to click on it, and it creates the image. It might be really long because, of course, it's 40 messages. So once you have this page, just right-click and copy the image. And then in an email address, email to me, let me just pull it up real fast. You might be using the office.com version of email, which is just fine. So new message, and then off here you'll just send it to mbausch, psd11.net, right there, and then you can just call it Gatsby conversation, and then just right click, and then you can paste, and it'll give me the whole message. Once you're done, just go ahead and click send, and I will get it from you. Hopefully this is kind of an engaging conversation. When you do this, you'll have the first half advising him on doing something. Maybe you want to help him out. On the second one, he either took or ignored your advice and something happened. You might have changed what happens in Gatsby, which is just fine because you gave him advice that he didn't know. Maybe something worked out for him that was better than the original version. Or maybe he ignored it. What happens? And then what do you have to say to him afterwards? Review his diction, his wording, and try to make him sound like Gatsby. I threw in the word sport, but he has a certain way of talking that you hopefully have seen in the novel. So take a look at some of his dialogue at any page throughout the entire book, and then kind of make him sound like Gatsby. I do understand that this is a text message, so if you have text message lingo that you want to use, so be it. But I'm really more concerned about you having a conversation where you advise him and reference something in the book, and then you follow it with what are your thoughts on what he did. Just download that image, send it to me, and then I'll put it in. Keep in mind this is a major assessment, so it will really help you out if you choose to do this, but you do have to do it correctly. If you don't like my website where I have you create the fake chat message, feel free to use your own, but that's the kind of thing I want for this activity. If you have any questions or concerns, please make sure that you send me an email as soon as possible. And I will post the due date for this soon in Teams and the agenda as well. Thanks for listening.